It's not
we have a
republic.
technocracy.
It's not a technocracy. Technocracy typically is a reference to rule by technology, right?
No, by technocrats, by people who believe they're experts in their field, that they can scientific method their way to perfection, that they can resolve all human conflict and issues if we just try harder, legislate harder, administer harder.
That's not what
Well, that's what the vaccine is. It's a piece of science.
technocracy is simply a reference to like a rule by those of science,
Google,
and technology.
Facebook.
Yeah,
that's what CDC is. That's what OSHA's doing.
But Joe Biden making an OSHA rule isn't technocracy. It's something else. It's akin to
tyranny.
Yes.
Why won't one of you look it up? Actually, please never do. Just keep going. Keep guessing. Oh my god, I forgot about this one. Oh, okay, so Black Hammer has entered the ring now. Black Hammer is now part of this entire fiasco. I forgot about that. And by the way, this news reporting station had no idea. Talk about lack of research. Again, enter edutainer. Entertainers on the internet would be thoroughly capable of telling you who Black Hammer is. Anyone who is terminally online and spends a lot of time on Twitter could explain to you what this organization is. But the news is just like, these are Nicki Minaj fans. So a whole bunch of hardcore Nicki Minaj fans showed up.
Go ahead, what brings you here?
We are here because CDC has been lying to us for so long.
Nicki Minaj fans in Atlanta say they trust her medical advice about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Nicki, the queen of rap, stood up. Nicki, multiple platinum plaques, stood up and said, I'm questioning this vaccine, and we should all question this vaccine.
Fans even showed up to the Center for Disease.
I have absolutely no idea why that, I guess there's just no vetting, They didn't want to look into any of it. And fair enough, maybe it's just it's too online for them, but you should have maybe looked up the symbols. They're like, oh, this is interesting. Is this some kind of organization I should know about?
Nicki Minaj said, Nicki Minaj said, and she said, I'm not going to take your vaccine to get no stupid $1. Look at the pigs. You know Fauci's lying. 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 You know Fauci's lying.
So, Black Hammer has officially entered the, I guess, anti-vax crowd. That's the next development. It's it's such a weird time to be alive. When you read the headlines and you see the things that are in the top trends and stuff, and it's iodine does not cure COVID. Do not drink iodine. And you're like, that's got to be the Onion. There's no way that's... Oh no, that's a real headline. Okay. Ivermectin for animals should not be consumed by humans. It's intended for horses. I guess that's okay. White House confirms it's offered to speak with Nicki Minaj about vaccine safety. Amid a wave of misinformation stemming from Nicki Minaj's comment Monday that she would not attend the Met Gala that night due to its COVID-19 vaccine requirements, the White House confirmed that it offered to put her on a phone with a doctor to discuss vaccine safety. As we have with others, we offered to call with Nicki Minaj and one of our doctors to answer questions that she was about safety and effectiveness with the vaccine. Minaj has claimed in an Instagram live session Wednesday that the White House had extended an offer for her to meet with infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci, whose name she had some trouble recalling, and or the Surgeon General, although the White House's statement did not address those claims. He did, however, confirm Variety's report earlier this week that she is now managed by Wasim Sal Slaby, who has been managing The Weeknd, Doja Cat, Brandy, and others. Pertinent information to the story at hand. Cool. Oh yes, let's see what the Beanie has to say about all this.
This just happened. Literally, as we were sitting down, I was like, Mark Milley, traitor to the United States. When I'm slamming the table down, and then we're like, oh, Lydia's like, Nicki Minaj was suspended. I was like, oh, this takes precedence.
Yes.
Now, I don't think it's...
Did you know that you can now play Black Hammer Reparations and each level is named after an ice cream? Wait, what? It's a video game? Oh, sorry. No, I knew about this. Yeah. No, we went over this a while ago. I did a whole segment on Black Hammer. Well, I mean, I can refresh everybody if they didn't know. The reparations go to Black Hammer exclusively, right? To their organization. It's not like they redistribute them. Yeah. I mean, what they've basically done is they've effectively memed a lot of very important causes, you know, like land back, decolonization, stuff like that. They've co-opted it, and they've turned the whole thing into like a bit of a farce. I mean, they effectively fundraised a whole bunch of money for Hammer City. They worked on it for like 1 or 2 days. And again, it was hilarious. They fundraised $112,000. They're still fundraising? Man, I'm in the wrong line of work. It's so funny. People always talk about leftist grifters, and they're always like, yeah, all these people are trying to go to the left. I was like, you are moving in the wrong direction if you were trying to make a whole bunch of cash. Well, I guess that one disproves it, because that's technically grifting to the left. So there's that. Honest question, do you think humanity has gotten dumber, or our dumbest have become the most obvious? I don't think that would explain it in any way, shape, or form. I think what's happening is we live in a time in which we are spending more and more time online than ever before. A lot of the social media algorithms that dictate all these apps happen to reward things like anger, especially. So it's allowing for a lot of very vitriolic opinions to be pushed forward on things like Facebook and Twitter and the YouTubes. And as a result of that, it's certainly confusing the flow of information that we once had. I mean, you can see now that Facebook is doing like a huge thing where they're like, okay, we understand that we kind of fucked up with the QAnon stuff and a lot of medical misinformation. So we're trying to fix that. Oopsies. But I mean, the genie's out of the bottle on that one. Things are already going fast-paced, high-speed.
But I do think this is significant. One, we're seeing a celebrity. For those that haven't been following, Nicki Minaj is tweeting about the vaccine. She's being lied about left and right in the media, and I think this is a major, what should I say? What was that movie where the guy was in...
Wait, there's a ex-Black Hammer already? Oh, wow. The hypocritical Black Hammer organization. Yikes. Ex-Black Hammer members, DM me to have your stories posted confidentially. Racists will be blocked. To understand Black Hammer's transition from a promising revolutionary grassroots organization to an insidious cult of personality, I think it's very important to understand a few things. The first being Augustus Ghazi Romaine's advent to his political life. This is an individual who started as a YouTube personality making videos with YouTube women about transitioning into videos about reactionary rants about YouTube people, and also who ran an escort service, then in turn was recruited to become a revolutionary by African People's Socialist Party cult leader Joe Waller, who now calls himself Omali Yeshatila. Augustus has always bragged about Joe Waller being his revolutionary father, and with BH being what it is now, that is not far from the truth. Augustus Romaine became the Secretary General of APSP as a figurehead to attract the same gender-loving and non-conforming Black and colonized people to the APSP, giving Joe Waller the vicinity to mold himself as he saw fit. The same contradictions that Augustus exposed about Joe Waller and the APSP to bolster his own platform more than anything are the same contradictions that we see in BH presently, from manipulation to both physical and sexual abuse. There's physical and sexual abuse, oh no. Augustus presented the idea of forming Black Hammer to me while we were staying at my mother's home in November. This was after he exposed to me the very true nature of APSP during their Congress. As SG, he was first-hand knowledge of everything that was going on. When the Congress was over, we returned to the APSP's headquarters. Secondly, and most importantly, I think we can be assuredly assessed that the creation of BH was driven by Augustus's need for livelihood, in addition to building an organization that would sustain himself. Augustus could not return home to Stone Mountain, Georgia to live with his mom, and abandoning his SP position with the APSP meant that he'd have no financial resources either. His findings about the APSP stand on their own, and it's even more important to understand that from every video that was used to expose the BH launch party was promoted as Ghazi's launch party, was used to shore up his supporters and followers. This is evident as made each contradiction revolve around him as an individual. So this is way more like a cult than I ever thought.
It's a major red pill moment for a lot of people to see Nicki Minaj being like, hey, they're lying about me.
She is married, by the way.
Oh, right on, Mrs. Nicki Minaj. And the same thing happened with Kanye. Kanye comes out and says something reasonable, and all of a sudden the media lies about everything. So Kanye came out, I don't know if you guys saw this, and he was talking about the 13th Amendment.
No.
And the 13th Amendment allows slavery in the event of a criminal conviction. And so Kanye was like, we got to do away with that. And they were like, Kanye calls for reinstating slavery or something. And he's like, dude. Like, they really go over the top with it. So we have this tweet. I just picked up whatever random verified Twitter user who had tweeted about it. Okay, who had Nicki Minaj getting locked out of her Twitter account after reposting Tucker Carlson?
Y'all won't let me leave this story. I keep moving on. I want to hear him talk about Nicki Minaj. Everyone's like, you got to see this video. All right, hold on. Common white girl tag with Ghazi Kodzo.
Introduce him. Say, we're the Wing Girls and this is Smile Talk.
Okay.
Let's start over.
Okay. Hey guys,
Wait.
what's up? Okay.
Sorry.
Hey guys, what's up? We're the Wing Girls, as you know, and we've got a special guest today. It's Smile Isn't he cute? And today we're gonna do this tag that's been sweeping across YouTube like a tornado or some kind of natural disaster. What's it called, Smile Tone?
The common white girl tag.
Smile Tone.
I saw this on Gregory Gorgeous' channel because, I'm
Hey,
Gregory.
biggest fan. Hey, girl.
Yeah, Gigi.
Yeah, this is too cringe for me, and I have a pretty high tolerance for cringe.
Take a lot of pictures of your food before you eat it. Is it you?
You do? No.
Especially when it's pretty.
Where can you get them?
Yes, Gaga.
Man, I like the music and their speaking volume is like almost 1-to-1, so it's really hard to make out what they're saying as well, but that's kind of okay because I don't know if I really want to. He also used to do Android phone reviews. What? That is wild. That is absolutely wild. All right. That's like the thing about that is like, did you think you were going to grow up and become a cult leader, or did anyone think that at the time? But I guess here we are.
Carlson on their 2021 bingo card. Anyone? Nicki Minaj. We got some tweets from her.
Yeah, you can send me a review. I will watch the review. I guess I'm never leaving this topic.
So Stephen Colbert's show. Oh, actually, it looks like CNN actually said this. All right, we got to slow down. This is a crazy story.
Fast developing.
Nicki Minaj tweeted that her cousin didn't want to get the vaccine because his friend got the vaccine and his balls swole up. And then he became impotent and his fiance called off their wedding. It's probably a ridiculous story. I don't think it's true.
Oh, I bet it is true. It's horribly hilariously.
Okay.
I was about to say, I didn't pause it in time. I'm like, okay, I think that one is even going to be beyond the pale for Tim Pool. I think he's actually going to acknowledge this is probably not a real story. I didn't think Moonlord was going to come in there for the intercept. I didn't see that. No, but again, who can ever predict where Moonlord is going to go at any given time?
Oh, well, you know,
but true in the sense, like, did the vaccine have anything to do with it?
Right, exactly.
I really, there's nothing on VAERS, like the vaccine adverse event, where they're like, my balls are huge. Like, no. So she tweeted this thing out, and the media then started playing.
This is weird. It's the first time I'm like, oh, me and Tim are on the same page. I agree with you.
Here's what they said in this CNN clip. They said she cited that reason as to why she's not getting vaccinated, which is not true.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, this is the leader of Black Hammer reviewing the Android Avenger video.
Hey y'all, it's me, Smile Tone, and today we're gonna talk about Today we're gonna talk about the Kin. Have y'all heard about the Kin, y'all? It's this new phone that Microsoft just put out, and reports are showing that it only sold 500 units. Now that's really, really bad, you guys. Now I'm sure you heard about the Kin because it's been like everywhere. It's been like on TV, radio, everywhere. Like I was watching The Hills and there's like this little banner like, if you have a Kin, tweet right now about how you feel about Heidi's facelift. And then you'll go on like Bravo, Real Housewives, and then they'll be like, tweet right now, what do you think about Teresa flipping a chair? On your Kin though, tweet it on your Kin. And I'm like, okay, gosh, why are they pushing the Kin so hard? I even saw the Kin in...
I can't watch these.
But yeah,
like,
nowadays it's more about like, that's it.
It's all like incredibly amateur cringe. It's just, you know, there is something wholesome about when people start out on YouTube, you know, and like the trying to find their way, and people try so many different things, and they're just like, you know, they go all over the map, and it's like, well, maybe I really want to be an Android reviewer, maybe I really want to do BuzzFeed style content, and then just finding out where they landed too, you know. Lance, I'm listening to this review. I'm sorry, Ramses. Let's see.
This is what people are going.
Wait. Oh, okay, it's a case. I was like, do you just have like a prop that you pretend to be the Android phone?
Okay, so that's it, and yeah, so I think they would have liked, but yeah.
Psst is the sound of magic. Piss is the sound of magic. Yeah, that does say. I'm confused.
See how sleek and designed this is, Bill Gates? You see this? This is what people are going for nowadays, okay? This is what people are going for. Okay, so that's it, and yeah, so I wasn't gonna be like...
I'm gonna guess that was sarcasm, I think. Oh, and the Vanguard is doing the same story as me?
Reinforces that exact same thing that we were talking about earlier, which is that, you know, here, let's all publicly shame the person that did something, because it's like, after this, is Nicki Minaj going to be more likely to go on Hassan Piker's show and talk to him about why we need Medicare for all and free college? Or is she more likely to go on Tucker Carlson's show and use her celebrity to talk about how she's vaccine skeptical and liberal?
I think it's pretty safe to say she's probably going to go on neither, but that point is valid. Basically, what's your goal, right? When you're tweeting. And most people are going to say, I have none. I'm just angry. And that's probably correct and fair. But what would your goal be if you were trying to enact change? What's the end result going to be? See, if I tweet this out, am I tweeting this out hoping that Nicki Minaj responds with, oh, I didn't know that, thank you, thumbs up? Or is it just Twitter war where you're going to fight each other? I don't think for a second, by the way, Nicki Minaj is going to go on Tucker Carlson's show. I think Nicki Minaj's entire team, because she'll have a very large team, both of PR, lawyers, individuals, are going to be like, Tucker Carlson bad, white nationalist, maybe tweet out the vaccines are great. I think Nuance Bro tried to get some points with Nicki by tweeting out that she had previously been very pro-vaccine. Dear black people, woke white liberals will not bat an eye when you are kicked out and excluded from public accommodations for being unvaccinated. Welcome to legalized segregation. Wow, Nuance Bro got a lot more radicalized since the last time we interacted. What's been going on? Take the poll, Queen Radio vaccines, Pfizer wins. Which vaccine would you recommend? It's Queen Radio time, talk to me. That's amazing, babe. This is the norm. I know, babe, a lot of countries won't let people work without the vaccine. I definitely recommend they get the vaccine. They have to feed the families. I'm sure because I'll be vaccinated as well because I have to go on tour, etc. Yeah, these are all great tweets. These are all fine. They don't exclude or they don't excuse the new one because, again, you have a massive platform. Like Nicki Minaj's platform, how many followers does she have? 22.7 million followers. She almost has as many followers as the population of Canada. She's like 12 million away. Well, okay, she's got 2/3. She's got about 2/3 the followers of the population in Canada. That's a lot of people.
And then people were like, that's not a fair headline. And I don't agree with the framing either. And we talked about it. So here's what's true. Nicki Minaj said,
2/3, I corrected myself.
To get vaccinated. If I'm going to get vaccinated, it's not going to be for the Met Gala. And so the headline used on Timcast was Nicki Minaj refuses to get vaccine for Met Gala. And I'm like,
technically accurate.
Yeah, but I don't like that because Nicki Minaj said that the reason she's not traveling is because she had a baby. And then she mentioned she's not going, that the Met Gala wanted the vaccines, and if she was going to get the vaccine, it wouldn't be for them. This title, I feel like, makes it seem like she didn't go to the Met Gala because she didn't want to get vaccinated.
No, I'm going at in like 3 hours or so.
And so we discussed it, and it's
I'll film it.
Look, the headline is true. She said she wouldn't get vaccinated for the Met Gala. Like, I don't know how else we should frame it. Like, make a really long headline, and I'm like, all right, whatever. I defer to your judgment. But some people in the comments posted something. And
have you heard that apparently some of the unvaccinated on TikTok want to be called purebloods now? So I saw the photo, and it was one of those pictures where it's like, oh, so this is the Ubermensch.
So now they're claiming one of the reasons she won't get vaccinated is because of swollen testicles. Stephen Colbert did a whole bit. This is the crazy thing that people need to understand. When Sarah Palin was running with McCain, Tina Fey, who I think Tina Fey is brilliant, did this bit where she's like, I can see Russia from my house. Sarah Palin never said anything like that. Right. That's ridiculous. What Sarah Palin did say was something like, you know, in terms of foreign policy, you can actually see Russia from the westernmost point of Alaska. And we actually have to negotiate with them on the straight on trade. So I think, this is a major benefit.
Did Sarah Palin say, I can see Russia from my house? Misattributed. Paradoxically, one of the common features of catchphrases associated with famous figures, both real and fictional, is that those phrases are often caricatures that do not reflect statements actually made by the people with whom they're associated. For years, impersonators merely had to utter the lines, Judy, 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 or come to me, Casbah, and the listeners immediately knew they were portraying actors Cary Grant and Charles Boyer.
What insight into Russian actions, particularly in the last couple of weeks, does the proximity of the state give you?
They're our next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
I mean, come on, Tim. Okay, she got memed by saying from my house, but, the essence is there. I mean, if there were two stews, there's only a slight variation in the recipe, but they probably taste very similar. Gross.
For the office of the presidency, and I'm like, It's actually a really great point. As governor of Alaska, you have that trade route that goes between the Bering Strait or whatever, and that means she has to work with Russia. What happens? A bunch of my friends are like, oh man, like Sarah Palin thinks she can see Russia from her house. I'm like, dude, that was Tina Fey. Like that wasn't real. And that's what we have going on right now. So now, here's why I think this is important. For one, we got, let me shout out some of these people. One person responded with, because Nicki Minaj posted Tucker Carlson. And actually, did I pull that one up? Okay, I don't have that one. She posted Tucker Carlson. Oh wait, I do have it, yeah, with a bullseye. It's a bullseye over Tucker Carlson's content. And Hassan the Sun says, you know he's a white nationalist, right? Okay, Tucker Carlson is not a white nationalist. That's a lie. And so Nicki Minaj responded to him and other people saying like, dude, I can point out when someone's telling the truth. That doesn't make me political or whatever. And then here's the crazy thing. When multiple news outlets lied about like the swollen testicles thing, she said, y'all are lying about me. And people started saying, Nicki's on the side of the far right, so you know she's wrong.
Oh shit, Hassan is on the Tim Pool show.
If you question the media, you're far right. That's far right now.
Yeah. Well, look, Nicki is in trouble from the jump. You know why? Because she's Young Money. Young Money, Lil Wayne, Donald Trump.
Yeah, Lil Wayne's based.
No, for real. She's in Young Money with Drake and Lil Wayne and Nicki.
Wow.
And it's very clear Lil Wayne is a Trump guy. They're clearly on a different tip. Whatever tip that is, they're on their own one. And I thought it was admirable, actually, what she said, which is that, like, I'm not traveling because I have a baby, and I may or may not get the vaccine, but I sure as heck aren't getting the vaccine just to go to some stupid party with some lady wearing tax the rich on her butt. So to me, I mean, that all adds up. I do not listen to her music. I probably don't appreciate her values so much, but at the same time, I can see how her associations and her willingness to question the narratives and her willingness to just speak her mind. Wasn't she the one that like saw like her tax bill one day or whatever? Yeah. She's just like going off on the taxes. Yep. I mean, that all makes perfect sense to me. These are just things normal people say. So why is she being singled out? Because she's got millions and millions of followers?
Because
these are just random thoughts, man.
The media is a swamp full of, well, I don't know where piranhas live in the swamps,
No.
like rivers and the rainforest. I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
But it is a swamp
somewhere bad
with some kind of swamp piranha. And if you, look, Nicki Minaj comes out and she said, they don't care about anything she says until she said, pray on it and make the choice for yourself, as we often say. And that is the no-no phrase.
I mean, look, stop me if I go down a road I'm not allowed to go down. But the bottom line for me is that I've come to understand that this is a personal choice. And frankly, I don't know where this is going to go because, I'm sensitive to all these things because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm being censored. I'm censoring myself.
It's okay. I mean, that's humanity. You got to censor yourself a little bit as you go.
The point is, it's like...
A reminder, coincidentally, her husband just got charged for failing to register as a sex offender. Yeah, we learned that yesterday.
Look, it is a personal decision that's now not being allowed to be a personal decision. And that is pretty much the bottom line. When I think about it, and I think about whether or not I should do it for myself or my kids should do it for themselves, those are independent questions. If somebody is bullying me into doing it, my first instinct is just be like, nope.
I think the vaccine mandates do that.
Just no.
I've seen tons
not
of people,
bully me.
Tons of people tweeting now because of the mandate. Okay, I figured to spill the bottle. Tons of people tweeting.
Like, where was all this attitude for things like, well, yeah, your kids all need vaccines for measles, hepatitis, and it's just a good thing, and we're going to give them to them, and then these diseases go away, and the side effects are minimal. Then it's like, yeah, sure.
Now because of the mandate, never going anywhere near any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And the response on the left is like, well, you were never going to do it anyway. And
no, that's not true. I would seriously consider. I have all of my vaccines. I just got a pertussis.
Wait, are you serious? You haven't taken the COVID vaccine, and now you're like, but I'm not going to take it anyway because you're forcing me to. But I didn't take it before. But I would have. I was close. I was teasing you, edging you along.
Pertussis booster.
Oh my.
Right? Like I had to do that when my kids were being born.
Who am I?
Like your moms are the mother-in-laws, the moms, they all had to get a pertussis booster just to come in and see the baby. No one batted an eye at that.
Right. Here's the issue. When someone is like, after 28 years of research and we have this vaccine or whatever, or decades, and then we've come to a legislative decision after many votes and many hearings on it.
That's the key phrase, legislative decision.
Right. Well, when I elect somebody and they say we're going to have a hearing in the Senate committee on X and it's having to do with vaccines, I'm like, these are all normal processes that I can watch on TV and hear the arguments. And then there's a vote on it and it's put through a legislative process. I'm like, you got it. When there's long-term data and stuff. So here's my issue right now is a vaccine mandate by decree. Get out of my face. Well, not playing. Well, no. Because you
shut up, Ian.
Because
I want to let you finish your thought.
There's no medical exemptions. There's no religious exemptions, and now you can see the government is giving exemptions only when they're scared. Like
to the Postal Service.
No, that's not true. That was debunked.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But the nurses in New York, they were running short on nurses because nurses were refusing to get vaccinated, and then the courts reversed it, saying, okay, if you're a medical worker, you're good now because they were like, people are quitting, and that's critical infrastructure. I'll put it this way: when someone's like, We have hundreds of years of data on like polio, and kids have like a 20% chance of like disability. And it, like by the time you're 50, you know, you're negatively impacted. And we have this vaccine fine after a long period of time. That I get. When an executive just comes out and says it, and we have.
Oh my God, are you serious? Oh, you even understand the counterpoint and how ridiculous you look. And at the same time, you're like, well, there's going to be a way to spin this. We can spin this one.
No long-term health effects or risk for pregnancy because.
And again, I bet you all these motherfuckers are vaccinated.
The FDA insert doesn't include. It's like we don't have data on that. I can respect someone saying, I'm going to wait. You can't come to me and try and get in between me and my doctor. That's my problem with this. That it's like, I honestly, I think the vaccines are safe. You know, I don't believe a lot of the high, you know, stressed out sensationalism you hear, like swollen balls or whatever. I don't believe it. Sorry. I certainly think there can be adverse events, and some of them probably rare and extreme. Don't get me wrong. But regardless, I'm going to do my research. I'm going to go talk to my doctor. What do we have now? Leftists? These people claiming to be libertarian socialists are anything but walking in between me and my doctor and saying, shut up, don't listen to him, go get the vaccine. And I'm like, can you get out of my way so I can ask this guy like what he thinks? Because, you know, Howard Stern comes out. And he's like, Joe Rogan's doctor's a moron for prescribing him this medication. And I'm like, Howard Stern, you're not a doctor. Yeah. How are we going to sit here and have them say, you're not a doctor, you didn't do research? And then I'm like, neither did you.
Yeah, so Howard Stern is just Howard Stern. I mean, he's a shock jock, and at least he admits it. The other thing is, though, I didn't really have a problem with Joe Rogan taking ivermectin. Like, Joe Rogan can take whatever he wants. He can take the iodine if that's what he thinks will help him. I have a problem with him telling millions and millions of people that there's this new miracle cure that's being suppressed by, Big Pharma, and it has the potential to reverse like 80% of the side effects of COVID, called ivermectin, and it's cheap. And we don't know a lot about it. There's this one study that shows it's very effective in vitro, and maybe we should take it. And then just leaving that out there for the public to then think, whoa, the miracle cure is out there. Once they find out that it's actually unable to get through a doctor, but you can get it if you want to go to a farm supply store and buy the version for horses or goats or pigs. That's the problem.
So when I tweeted, don't just pull into a parking lot, go talk to your doctor, get him on the phone, ask him the questions you got to ask him. People were like, why would you do that? You're scaring people. I'm like, yo, literally people on the left telling me that I was wrong to suggest people talk to their doctor. That's where we're at.
Did anyone see Jim Brewer on the Tucker Carlson show? He's an anti-vaxxer, doesn't want to separate his crowd because he's against vaccine. I just saw the screenshots. Someone was like, I saw like the memes, like someone posted a picture of Tucker and Jim Brewer, and then it was like, is this what happened to my balls? AKA like after I took the vaccine or something. But I haven't actually seen the clip. Is it actually content worthy? I don't remember Jim Brewer much outside of like he was the goat on SNL.
God, those communists are amazing.
Sorry, I was trying to
by Big Beanie.
Sub my mods in the background.
A few things there. One, the thing that comes to mind first and foremost here is that there was no legislative process. Okay. Requiring all corporations of 100 employees or more to have their employees be vaccinated sounds to me like a law. Right?
It is.
And a law should be negotiated, discussed, debated in public, and voted upon by your representatives that you send to Congress, because it's going to affect basically everybody. 80 million people, I think, is what the target.
Am I missing something? Are they actually suggesting that they're going to try to enforce a vaccine mandate in the United States? Do we miss that step? Or is it just like, is this yet another like Civil War thing coming from Tim Pool and the Tim Pool crew? Because that's really what it feels like.
Target was with that 100 million and up corporation law?
I think they said it'll affect 100 million.
100 million, great, yeah. So what this is a prime example of the way that the administrative state and the judiciary have stripped the legislature of all their power and basically ended our democracy. Okay, you have administrative state executive branch agencies that create a rule, then it basically becomes law.
Oh wait, Jim Brewer was also in Half Baked. I love Half Baked. That was like my movie in high school. That sucks.
Then somebody files a lawsuit and the judge rules on whether or not that law is right. That is how, or whether or not that rule is right. That is how laws are being made in America today, independent of the legislature. We do not have a democracy. It is gone. The republic is gone.
Yes.
When the executive branch, administrative offices can make a rule, someone can protest it in the courts, and the courts rule on its validity, and then it becomes law that way, that means our republic is dead. It is dead. It is gone. It is history. And we now must move into a phase, what I've been calling now, refound or die.
So what kind of government do we have?
We have a technocracy.
It's not a technocracy. technocracy typically is a reference to rule by technology, right?
No, by technocrats, by people who believe they're experts in their field, that they can scientific method their way to perfection, that they can resolve all human conflict and issues if we just try harder, legislate harder, administer harder.
That's not real.
Well, that's what the vaccine is. It's a piece of science.
Technocracy is typically a reference to a rule by those of science
Google,
and technology.
Facebook,
yeah, that's what
Donald
CDC is.
Trump.
That's what OSHA's doing.
But Joe Biden making an OSHA rule isn't technocracy. It's something else. It's akin to
Why won't one of you look it up? Actually, please never do. Just keep going. Keep guessing. Technocracy is a system of government in which a decision maker or makers are elected by the population or appointed on the basis of their expertise in a given area of responsibility, particularly with regard to scientific and technical knowledge. This system explicitly contrasts with representative democracy, the notion that elected representatives should be primary decision makers in government, though it does not necessarily imply eliminating elected representatives. Decision makers are selected on the basis of specialized knowledge and performance rather than political affiliation or parliamentary skills. It's the word technology. It's the tech in technocracy that just threw a fucking atom bomb of knowledge into the room that has all of them. Well, no, it's because it's the big tech and George Soros. It all makes sense now. Oh, this is glorious. Please keep going.
Let's break this down. In the classically liberal democratic fashion, our government works as such. We elect a representative for our area. They go and have a meeting where they draft a bill, say we want this to be law. That goes from their committees into the greater chamber where they vote on it, and then the executive signs off on it or vetoes it. If there's a veto, and this is how most states work and how the federal government works. If they veto it, then you need a greater majority in the legislation to overrule him. Here's how it works today. The executor, the executive, the sovereign drafts a rule to the people saying you must comply, and the people are allowed only if negatively impacted to question that law. And then,
I mean, this one should be easy. You can just use terms like authoritarianism. I mean, that one applies, right? You don't have to try and guess what you think technocracy means.
The courts, as you mentioned,
that was definitely the best part of this whole video.
Whether or not the negative impact is justified would justify striking down the executive decree. That's very, very different from my representative drafts a bill, it goes to committee, there's a debate on it.
Wait, by the way, what does that have to do with classical liberalism? Like, classical liberalism, as we know, emerged from the age of the Enlightenment. Like, post-monarchism. Like, it's supposed to have elected representatives. Why is he talking about, decision-making comes from on high? Decreed.
Hearings. We're at the point right now where Joe Biden has done this on more than one occasion, completely shutting out the legislative and judicial branches. Cuomo did the same thing. So it's more of, you can argue that, we still get to elect the president or whatever. Sure, fine, but that doesn't change the fact that there's no democracy when you appoint a sovereign.
I mean, it's basically electing a king. It's basically electing a king is what we're doing. We're electing a king every 4 years, a guy that can just make decrees. He can make decrees that are backed up by his minions and backed up by the courts.
And the police.
It's really frustrating and sad and scary. If you want to really learn about it, look up Dr. Marini. This guy has written a tremendous amount on the administrative state. And
Did you learn anything about Nicki Minaj? Nicki Minaj gets suspended from Twitter after clapping back at fake news about vaccines. Okay. Well, it's time. Twitter denies putting Nicki Minaj in Twitter jail for spreading COVID vaccine rumors. So I guess that's just not true. Rapper Nicki Minaj is claiming Twitter locked her off access from her account on Wednesday, 2 days after she suggested, without any evidence, a COVID-19 vaccine caused her cousin's friend in Trinidad to become impotent and grow enormous balls, hairy in nature. But Twitter said it did not take action against Minaj. In a Wednesday evening message posted to her Instagram story, Minaj said that she was placed in Twitter jail and prevented from tweeting, a claim that drew sympathetic responses from Tucker Carlson and other conservative pundits, because, of course, that's their bread and butter. But a Twitter spokesman denied Minaj's claim Wednesday, telling Forbes the tech company did not make any enforcement action on the account referenced. I mean, I think the breaking point for conservatives, and I didn't know if it was always going to be this way, it turned out to be big tech. Like, big tech was the one corporation where they have to be like, well, okay, maybe capitalism isn't flawless. There's a couple flaws. This crony capitalism has led to these kind of tech giants and overlords, and we just can't do anything about it. So we would just like them to bend to our will, please, because they seem to be following the will of capitalism rather than ours. So it would be nice if they didn't follow that Overton window all the time and act like woke arbiters just because they won't let us spread all this transphobia on these platforms, Just a white guy who wants to say the N-word every day. What's wrong with that? Why are you trying to censor me? Why are you trying to close down my free speech? Minaj drew criticisms Monday evening after announcing she wouldn't attend this year's Met Gala because attendees were required to get vaccinated against COVID-19, which she's unwilling to do until I feel I've done enough research. She later claimed her cousin in Trinidad isn't vaccinated because his friends got it. This is such a funny story. Like, could you imagine if this whole thing was a bit? Like if Minaj's team is like, we got a new single coming out. How should we promote it? It's like, well, I mean, I was thinking something unorthodox. What about this time? I could make up a story about a cousin's friend whose balls grew enormously large and he lost his marriage because he got vaccinated. I mean, I'd probably get some headlines. We'd definitely be at the front page for a little while, you know? Seems like we require looking up more information. The article you linked stated it was rape. It looks like it was attempted rape conviction. Oh, you're talking about Nicki Minaj's partner. No legislative body can pass a bill overriding any executive order. Executive orders are also challenged by the courts by the same statutory law.
You're our first medical voice this morning, so I am interested in your perspective.
I gotta be so curious what it's like to have to get a call and be like, well, we need a medical expert. Oh, sure. What's it about? Couple things. Just gonna work our way through them. The whole horse paste thing is like, yeah, I know, it's kind of embarrassing. Yeah, so it's gotten worse. People are drinking iodine now, so we need you to answer that. And there's this tweet from Nicki Minaj. If you don't know who that is, like, no, I know. I have a daughter. I know who that is. Okay, well, she's claiming apparently that her cousin's friend's balls grew enormously large and he became impotent after taking the vaccine. And she has 22 million Twitter followers, so a couple people saw it. Oh, okay. That's the face I would make right there. This is the exact face. That would be my face if I was like, this was what I was called here to do. This is what took me 9 years of education to achieve.
First of all, on the Alberta situation, the government finally acting, bringing in strict new restrictions, including passports, although he uses another term for it, to deal with the building crisis. What do you think of the measures and what effect do you think they could have?
Larry Elder still coping.
On the one hand, I'm glad to see them recognize that this is an important part of controlling widespread spread, which is what they've been seeing in Alberta for many weeks now. On the other hand, it seems a bit like hitting the brakes on your sports car when it's heading towards the cliff, but waiting until the last few seconds to do so. And can you slow your sports car down in enough time to stop going off the cliff? I think this is cutting it very, very close. And with their projection of only 10 days before their ICU capacity is completely full, I'm not sure that they'll be able to avoid completely over.
Oh, yeah, if you're just tuning in because you missed the very start of the stream, I went off about this, but fucking Alberta is fucked right now. Alberta had to declare a state of emergency. Alberta, like the entire province, because of how badly they managed the entire pandemic. Their vaccination rates were very low, their COVID rates were very high, and they decided, hey, you know what? Let's open up and become the tourist destination in North America. Come on in, come in one, come all. You know, we want everybody from all around the world to come in and experience the beauty and splendor of this wonderful province in Canada. The rest of the provinces are like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop. But it's like, nah, it doesn't matter. See, we got rodeo and we got beer and fun and come on down and yeah.
Overwhelming their ICUs.
I mean, jokes aside, it's fucked. It's fucked. Apparently, the entire medical system is on the precipice of complete collapse. At which point, because this hasn't really happened in the modern age, I'm not exactly sure what the protocol will be, but I assume that means the federal government is going to have to step in and enact emergency protocols, maybe send in the Canadian military, as well as like some first aid organizations. I'm not sure. We're kind of in uncharted territory right now. Yeah, they could overwhelm hospital ICUs in about 10 days. 10 days.
So we should watch for that in the days to come. That's a really good point. I mean, even if the remaining people rush out to get a first vaccination, a long lapse before they can get a second vaccination. So this is not going to be solved, at least that part of the equation, for some time to come. I'm wondering, as we have you there in Montreal, what about Quebec? Because
it's so infuriating. Jason Kenney, the conservative leader, the premier of Alberta, has so much blood on his hands. It's ridiculous. He fired 11,000 AHS workers like right before the pandemic started. And I know, yes, a lot of them were like people who worked in linens and other stuff like that. But he privatized all their jobs. Really foolish right at the start of a pandemic. Also wasted a whole bunch of money. You know, this whole like, well, we got to cut corners and save money because we're small government Alberta and we only really care about the oil, the sweet delicious oil. Well, then if that was the case, why did you waste over $1 billion trying to get the pipeline pushed through when you knew Joe Biden wasn't going to agree to it? He made it a campaign promise. Joe Biden was like, yes, I will shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. And then he got elected. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. Who could have seen this coming? But my billion. Like, fuck, that's a lot of money that could have been spent on stuff. Jesus.
nearly the same crisis situation, but the case numbers are building. And the health minister has been warning of a fragile situation in hospitals, in part because of a nursing shortage. What are you seeing in Quebec right now? Maybe parallels and things that have you concerned?
So certainly the numbers in Quebec are rising. And if you look at what I would consider the hard indicators, numbers of people who are hospitalized, numbers of people who are requiring ICU beds, every day for the last several days, they've been increasing, going up by 5 to 10% per day. And obviously there's only so long that can be sustainable before you hit your threshold capacity. We're not there yet, but I really want to see this turned around. And yes, the fact that we are now short something like 4,000 nurses across the province is horrible, and I don't see that situation is going to fix itself, as has been said many times before.
No, what are you going to do? Institute some massive training program? Hope that everyone graduates in 10 days? What the fuck?
It's one thing for hospitals to have a certain number of...
So did Kenny do everything on purpose? Kenny did everything a stone cold conservative leader does. And unfortunately, the conservative and libertarian brands of government do not work well in pandemics, when people need to help each other. This whole isolationist, everyone out for themselves, meritocratic way of living your life, if you put that to its extremes, let's have really small governments, all right? Let's reduce government spending, let everyone fend for themselves, let's reduce the amount of social services that we have, let's cut a whole bunch of social services, privatize social services, let's do a lot of stuff in the business interests, let's help out the oil and gas lobby way more than we help out our own citizens. That stuff, combined with the pandemic, turns out just creates a human mulch machine in which human beings go in one end and come out as pulp on the other end. And that's exactly what's happening. I don't think he woke up 2 years ago and was like, you know what? I would like to commit myself to evil. I've done other things in my life, but I think at this point it's time to just go full on evil, and that I'm going to enact some evil scheme. And part of that scheme will be seeing how many Albertans I can kill. So that's pretty much what I'm planning to do. I don't think that happened at all. I think he was just like, this is what I always do, and it seems to work in other cases. Why is it not working now? The most fucked up thing about this is no one's going to be held accountable. Doesn't matter if it's Jason Kenney or Doug Ford. All right, Doug Ford's not very far off, but there should be a criminal investigation. If ever we're on the other side of this, who knows? Maybe this is just instead of a pandemic, it's just a forever thing. Fine, this is our lives now. But there should be a criminal investigation into people who so brazenly fucked up like Jason Kenney did, who so brazenly, spectacularly, in some ways you couldn't even done it if you had planned it, fucked up, that resulted in tens of thousands of people dying. Well then, yeah, it's kind of on you.
It is something called betadine, which I never even heard of, but I looked it up. And as I understand it, you correct me if I'm wrong, it's an antiseptic or a disinfectant, kind of a topical thing used for cleaning skin and wounds, commonly in settings like yours in a hospital. And people are...
This is what I mean. This this is the face I would have if all of a sudden I was like, wait, that's what you're asking me? This is why this is happening in real time? People are drinking it instead of taking the vaccine. Oh, it's the unvaccinated people who are drinking it. Okay. And you know what's really fucked up and sad? And I know that CNN and Don Lemon want to be like, oh, well, yeah, fuck the poors. This whole thing, it just makes it worse. If people are starting to panic and eat all the ivermectin they can get their hands on and all the betadine they can get their hands on, and then they're going to poison control or getting sick or they need to go to a hospital, surprise, surprise, the hospitals are overrun right now with patients because, the health emergency, it's ridiculous.
Are ingesting this. People are gargling it to prevent or treat COVID. Now tell me about betadine and the wisdom of gargling it.
So there are many different formulations of betadine. As you correctly pointed out, they're usually used as topical disinfectants before surgical procedures, things like that. And there is a form that is actually intended as a mouth rinse. However, my understanding is that many people are using this in a fashion that is not at all approved. In fact, they're going and getting whatever betadine they can get their hands on, which is often not even the formulation that's intended to go into the mouth. And with the idea being, if it's a disinfectant, hey, maybe this will disinfect the virus. But let's not forget that lots of other things can deactivate viruses like fire. But just because that's the case doesn't mean you should be setting yourself on fire either. There's no proof whatsoever that betadine is useful.
I have sent out a distress signal to the animal lawyer. I forget who said that they were a lawyer. I'm a lawyer, but not an expert on much. 1.22 gigawatts. I was just curious. A friend I know, not myself, a friend I know, may have made a phone call to the Toronto police station because Skylar Williams was arrested for apparently opposing the evictions that are taking place in the city. And then they said, could everyone please call in to the police station to let them release Skylar. And he's fortunately been released. Two of the other people who were arrested at the same time have not been released. But anyways, if a friend of mine whom I knew had called in and it was actually kind of a funny phone call, could you find out if it would get me in trouble to broadcast it? Well, broadcast my friend's thing, because my friend's just a scamp. Larry Elder, speaking of double standards, former President Donald Trump is banned from social media for pushing the big lie about the 2020 election, but not Hillary Clinton, who pushed the big lie about the 2016 election. So this is the copium, man. Cool.
Either to prevent or to
Yes,
treat
Bastia.
any viral disease,
I
let
will.
alone COVID-19.
So no proof. That's a key point. But could it also be dangerous to ingest?
Yes, and especially people who are gargling or
Yes.
sometimes swallowing the
I could have
formulations
told you
that are
that.
not meant to be ingested, you actually can result, or you can develop a series of health problems.
Debunking that one. Now turn to something else that probably you and I never thought we'd be discussing in the context of COVID. The rapper Nicki Minaj, and a story that's really taken on quite a huge size this week because U.S. health officials, British health
She knows what she's doing.
officials in Trinidad and Tobago have all had to come out publicly and talk about what she tweeted this week to her 226 million followers. She was talking about, here's the tweet, an unverified report that a cousin in Trinidad, Dr. Outen, had refused to get the vaccine because a friend had the vaccine and it caused impotence, it caused testicular swelling. Well, in Trinidad, they've been racing around to confirm that there have not been a case of this, and there has not been a case of all of this. But, you know, I raise this because any question of sexual function or sexual health in all of this, you can see it would be a real disincentive for men to get the vaccine. So what do we know about vaccination and this whole area of men's?
I don't know. I think the opposite effect is going to happen. Now that people know that it can make your balls expand, you're going to see a wave of new vaccinations coming along. People are going to be like, oh, I want those giant balls. I've seen South Park.
Sexual health.
So we know certainly that with COVID-19 itself, that can have an impact, particularly on when it comes to sexual health with men and erectile dysfunction. There's very good proof that the disease itself can cause some difficulties in that area.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad, like, that's also being, like, left along the fray. All the people who are like, oh, wow, yeah, like, I don't want to touch a vaccine. I could have erectile dysfunction. You'll get that from COVID-19. That's a really big problem with COVID-19.
One more reason.
Well, you could, I should say. You could.
To my mind, as to why you should go get vaccinated, if that's something that's important to you, as it is important to millions of men, you would think that they want to protect themselves against that consequence, and the best way to do that is by going to get vaccinated.
But in terms of vaccination causing erectile dysfunction or testicular swelling or impotence or anything like that, is there any data to support that?
There's been a lot of concern about various effects on fertility over the
wow.
course of vaccination, but
I totally forgot I was watching a Canadian interview. And now I'm like, well, it sobered me up. We're back. Man, that Nicki Minaj story took forever. I can't even tell you any real news. AUKUS? The fuck is AUKUS? How am I supposed to know what that is? You talked about alliances. China bad? That's what I heard.
Hey, do you like movies? Do you like Serfs? Do you want movies and Serfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs the cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, you know, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, May you shower us mortals with gifts from the heaven. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are your humble jesters, clowning around for your amusement. To our lord, Trevor R. and Alexander Thaler, we give you our thanks for this meager land for us to toil our seed. To our Knights of the Round Table, Egbard Sealine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariana McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Ants Are Still Running the World, Coulter Smith, Tom Groh, Val 9000, Jenna Tal, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojak, Saren 42, Chronic de Hemphog, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our glasses and we salute you, our comrades.